So I received a really great question this week on one of my videos titled "You Only Experience Yourself," which is talking about the nature of projection and perception. And I actually had written an entire response to this person before I realized that this question's probably good enough to merit a whole video on. And that's because I get this question a lot on any of my videos that talk about projection. And so this comes from YouTube user Krista Klauk, who wrote, quoting a line from the video, "Whatever you hate in another person, you really hate in yourself." I can resonate with this to some regard, but it's also very confusing in certain situations. I have a very compassionate best friend who is married to what she calls a narcissist. She's grown to hate him for his selfish behavior. She is not selfish at all. Does anybody have a clearer understanding of what this is, or just thoughts regarding your own understanding? So thank you, Krista, for the excellent question. And this is, again, a question I get very often in any of my videos that I talk about projection in. Usually not phrased this politely. Usually it comes in the form of some kind of snarky gotcha comment. You're saying that if I see a murderer on television and I hate them for committing murder, that I'm a murderer? How absurd. This guy has no clue what he's talking about. And so I understand why they would have that perspective if that's what they think projection is. So this is a misunderstanding that I'd love to clear up in a video. And the misunderstanding is that projection always takes place on the level of cause, not effect. And this is a conclusion that I came to myself after doing a lot of self-investigation on where I was judging people. I started to realize that, I'm not guilty of their behaviors, but yet what am I seeing in them that I'm loathing so much? And it was very clear that I was actually hating the cause of their behavior. So for example, somebody who commits murder, right? Well, if you see a murderer and feel extreme hatred or disdain or contempt for that person, that's a sign that there's something in yourself that you're seeing in them. And so the effects of a cause can vary as widely as humans themselves vary, right? Everyone is the product of their genetics and life conditioning. And so this person might grow up to become a murderer. That's the way that their self-loathing would manifest. And then another person would manifest it completely different, maybe in the form of shyness and social anxiety. So let's say that person A grows up in a household where their father's watching violent movies all the time from the time they're a kid. So they're exposed to lots of violence, desensitized to it. Person B grows up, maybe like myself, in a very loving, religious household where murder's wrong and all that. So person B's self-loathing manifests in the form of being shy and having lots of social anxiety. Person A was, let's say, abused by their parents. They were bullied. They were picked on. Almost every single school shooter we see is somebody who was viciously bullied and picked on, right? And so their effect of self-loathing manifested in the form of murder. But the cause is the same for both people. And it's the cause that we always judge. Now, why is this the case? Because the subconscious mind is extremely intelligent. And it's very sharp at picking up on energies in other people that it is suppressing in itself. It's very, very good at doing this. So a judgment, when we judge somebody, when I say judge, I don't mean discernment, like just objectively understanding that this person murdered someone's not judging them, but seeing them with hatred or contempt or disdain is a form of judgment. And a judgment is a defense mechanism. And I have a video about this, defense mechanisms. But the idea is that a defense mechanism is a psychological strategy that the mind has created to protect me from experiencing pain. So deep hatred of myself is pain, and it causes me suffering. So my subconscious mind constructs a defense mechanism again, according to my personal genetics and conditioning. So two people might both hate themselves and the effect is completely different. And so this person could judge that person and say, well, I'm not a murderer, so I'm so much better than they are. Shame on them. They deserve to be punished for what they're doing. But in reality, I'm actually seeing my own guilt for the fact that I hate myself, and my subconscious mind is trying to place the source of my pain outside of myself to protect me from it. And so this is what the Course in Miracles means when it says, you have made everything that you hate. The first time I read this, the surface level of my mind rejected it and said, that's ridiculous. If I see someone that's a murderer, it doesn't mean I'm a murderer. But I knew that this book is deeply inspired and I believe everything in it is true. So if I don't understand something, then maybe the truth is a little bit deeper than what I'm seeing. And so after the self-investigation that I had done, I came to see that this is true. I really do make everything that I hate. And another prominent principle or teaching in the Course is that no idea leaves its source. And so a judgment on someone else is the belief that ideas can leave their source. So if I feel guilt for who I am, then I will see somebody else as guilty for who they are and believe that I'm not guilty for who I am, right? So judgment is the attempt to make myself innocent by making you guilty. So all judgment is an attempt to offload my guilt onto someone else. This is the essence of projection. You are all of your own judgments. So whatever you're judging in another person is what requires healing in you. So for your example, Krista, of your friend who is married to a narcissist, the reason she's hating him for his behavior is not because she is also a narcissist, but because the cause of narcissism is a deep and pervasive insecurity with oneself, right? Or you could say an extreme uncomfortableness with myself. And so the narcissism is a defense mechanism to offload my insecurity with myself, to avoid seeing it by constantly bragging about myself, constantly talking about myself, trying to convince others of how great I am, trying to convince myself of how great I am. It's an attempt to cover up the fact that on a deeper layer, I am extremely uncomfortable with who I am. I don't love myself. So I have to fabricate a false or illusory sense of self-love, which everyone else can see is totally inauthentic and not the real thing. But the narcissist cannot see it because it is a subconscious action. It's not a conscious doing on their part. It's just feelings and thoughts and words and behaviors that are bubbling up from inside under the surface layer. And so we all know naturally that a truly confident person doesn't need to brag about themselves because they're totally comfortable with who they are. They have nothing to prove. And so that's why we like truly confident people, because truly confident people are humble. And so they make us feel good about ourselves when we're around them. A narcissist makes us deeply uncomfortable when we're around them because the energy they're giving off is, I'm uncomfortable with who I am. Please give me validation. So your friend, Krista, is hating her husband's narcissism because on a deeper level, on the level of cause, she is uncomfortable with parts of herself. There's parts of herself that she's insecure about, that she's suppressed. And when I say she's suppressed, I don't mean she's consciously done it, because it's not a conscious doing on anyone's part. It's an action of the subconscious mind, part of the flow of life, no one's personal responsibility. But nevertheless, it's a sign that there's a part of me that I'm uncomfortable with. And so my subconscious mind can clearly see the same energy being expressed or manifested in this person. And so I'm trying to place the source of my pain outside of myself to protect myself from confronting my pain. And so this is another line from the Course which says that defense mechanisms offer what they defend. And now you can understand why. So the reason you can only see a reflection of yourself on anything is because you are your own internal reference frame, right? Everything that I experience in my life, everyone that I see and perceive, every thought that I have, every experience I have, has to come through this filter, right? It has to come through the filter of my mind, all my biases, all my beliefs, all my convictions, all my conditioning and genetics, and all of that is my personal filter. And so you could think about somebody who's wearing a pair of orange goggles, and the world that they see is orange. And so from their point of view, looking through their filter, they're completely convinced the world is orange. I'm not making an orange world. The world is orange because I'm seeing it. But you only ever see your own state of being. Once the filter is removed, you can see that, oh my gosh, the world was never orange. The world is full of colors, but I was only capable of seeing orange because that's the filter I was wearing. And so this is basically what a judgment is. When I judge someone else, I'm essentially creating a rule set within which I interact with that person. And so I'm literally not capable of interacting with that person outside of the boundaries of that rule set, meaning I can only see that which I'm judging. I've become blind to anything else. And so compassion is impossible. But once I've healed my own traumas, once I've confronted my own insecurity, once I have faced the fact that I'm uncomfortable with who I am, aspects of who I am on a deep level. And so I need to love myself and love those aspects of myself back into wholeness again. Once I've integrated those parts of me and healed them, then I will immediately recognize the same thing happening in the narcissist, and I will not hate them for it. I will realize that they're actually just a victim of their own subconscious mind. They're a victim of their own defense mechanism of narcissism. They don't even realize that they're doing it. They don't realize that the cause is that they actually don't like themselves. And so I remember when I didn't like myself and I didn't realize it. And so once you've healed it in yourself, then it's impossible to see it with hatred in another person. Instead, what you see is compassion. You see empathy or sympathy. You pity them. You understand their condition. And so in that sense, you're still projecting onto them. You can only project onto the world because, again, you are your own reference frame. There's no other filter for perception to come through. But you're projecting compassion. You're projecting self-love. So whatever you forgive in yourself, you forgive in the whole world. You see the world as forgiven. And then the forgiven world becomes to you a source of peace. That once I'm at peace with myself, then I only see peace outside of me. I recognize that everyone's just a puppet acting out their own conditioning, just like I was. So why would I hate them for that? It only causes me pain. So whatever I am judging, I am perpetuating, right? It's a form of resistance. It's a form of fighting something away from myself, and what I fight, I strengthen. What I resist persists because I keep it in the darkness of my unconscious mind. So everything is here to be loved. The only way to heal anything is to love it. But what I judge, I cannot love. And so when I understand that I only ever see my own state of being, then the way I judge other people becomes a mirror to me that becomes the doorway to my healing. Because I can see, oh, if I'm placing guilt on them, I must have placed it on myself first. And at that point, the forgiveness that you can give to yourself is the forgiveness you can give to the world. So judgment can also become the greatest mirror and the greatest opportunity for your own freedom.